Edition of
No,
Live with Phil. So
I
here I
am.
am.
Hi,
Stacy, are you
everybody.
on web?
I
Are you on
am.
camera?
Yeah,
And Stacy's here too. Say hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
so anyway,
You're echoing over here. Echo, echo, echo. So anyway, what we want to talk to you about today is an offering through the Center for Addiction Recovery Training, affectionately known as CART, and it is the Recovery Coach Professional designation that we will soon be made available for uh, everybody. Just be made available in general, right, Stacy?
That is correct.
All right. So, are you my yes man or my yes woman?
Yes, woman.
All right. Yes, I got it. Yes. And of course, she's really the boss. She is the wizard behind the curtain. So let's get right into it. What do you say? What is the RCP designation? And we thought it'd be good to define what is meant by a designation. And you look in the dictionary and it says a name, a description, or title, typically one that is officially bestowed. And that's a pretty cool word, bestowed. So CART wants to be able to bestow this RCP designation on as many recovery coaches that desire it. So why did we use this term professional? And those that hung around me for the last, well, it's almost 18 years I've been doing this recovery advocacy stuff. I was never too fond of the word professional until lately. And this will help us differentiate us from all the other credentials and certifications. And as more entities like hospitals, treatment providers, prisons, employ coaches or recovery coaches, we hope this will signify a level of competence. Plus, the recovery coaches we have interviewed really appreciate this designation. So a lot of the other titles out there like peer support specialist, recovery support specialist, peer recovery specialist, there's so many of them that we find that it's getting confused with mental health designations and all of that. So we also want the staff at, say, a hospital to look at the recovery coach professional that's coming in and saying, wow, this person has been trained, it's passed the test, she or he has passed the test, and maybe I shouldn't say it, that's probably not the best thing to say, but he or she has passed the test and has achieved a level of competence. In other words, CART, the Center for Addiction Recovery Training, will vouch for this person as saying having a certain level of competence as a recovery coach. And we believe CART is seen as a leader in training recovery coaches. We want this RCP designation to be recognized, trusted, and valued, to summarize what I just said. Right now, when people go through the Recovery Coach Academy, they start calling themselves recovery coaches, or they've been trained through CCAR. And this designation, we feel, will help clarify that they've also undergone a more rigorous vetting process, if you will, that we can elevate the standard. And we'll be describing the standard and what we see as in the next few slides. You can put your questions down in the bottom right, and as Stacy goes along, she'll cue me as whether I need to answer something specifically, or she'll type in a response, or she will answer it herself, right?
Yes, we have time at the end.
And we have time at the end. All right, cool. Why do we create this designation? The certification and credentialing processes focus only on the science. And what do we mean by science? That candidates accumulate a certain number of training hours and serve a number of hours in the role while being supervised, and then the supervisor checks, yes, they've passed the 500 hours, the 1,000 hours, the 2,000 hours, and then the candidate must pass a written test. Does that current certification process, the one we undergo now, adequately answer the question, would this applicant be a skilled, competent recovery coach? So many of us know you can pass a test, be an excellent test taker, but that might not necessarily translate into the ability to delivering an effective service. We like to consider, and we are going to consider, the art of recovery coaching. Uh, and we will assess a coach's art through a live interview process. Many years ago, at least in Connecticut, addiction recovery counselors actually had to go through an oral examination. They had to pass an interview test. We're just, I can't think of the right word, but bringing that back, and the candidate for the recovery coach professional designation will go through an interview from a jury of peers. And maybe jury isn't the right word, but a panel of peers. Who can apply? And at CART, at the Center for Addiction Recovery Training, even at CCAR, our trainings are open to all. The recovery coach professional designation will be open to all. CART's definition of a recovery coach is it's anyone interested in promoting recovery by removing barriers and obstacles to recovery, serving as a personal guide and mentor for people seeking or already in recovery. And we define people in recovery with a focus on recovery from alcohol and other addiction, uh, regardless of their time in recovery. Um, that's who we define as people in recovery. Is you're in recovery when you say you are. Of course, family members, friends, and allies are welcome. I'd also like to talk a little bit about regardless of the time in recovery. Now, I know that there are many organizations out there that have established a certain time frame for people to be in recovery in order to serve as a recovery coach. We have never really espoused to that fact because it's very difficult to measure, it's very difficult to reinforce, and it's hard for me to set an arbitrary time to say that now this person is ready to become a recovery coach. So, for example, let's say 2 years or 730 days. It makes no sense to me personally and to CART, the organization, that I go to sleep on the 730th day that evening. I sleep in on the 731st day. All of a sudden, magically, I'm transformed and now able to become a recovery coach. Um, we think it's more about the art. Are you still good at? Can you be good at actively listening, asking good questions, discovering and managing your own stuff in order to treat people as resources and coach them through the recovery process? To me, that is not contingent on a time frame of recovery. So the applicant then just must meet the application requirements and pass the interview portion. And let's take a look at what that means. How am I doing, Stacy?
You're doing great.
Anything left? Okay. What are the training requirements? And these will be spelled out in the application. Complete the CCAR Recovery Coach Academy and the CCAR Ethical Considerations for Recovery Coaches. That's 42 hours of training, 18 hours of additional CCAR training like spirituality and some of the webinars, or CART approved training programs for a total of 60 training hours. So you need 60 hours of training. In the application, the candidates will describe their addiction recovery experience through a resume and/or written summary. This does not necessarily have to be lived experience, just recovery experience. And then candidates will have an interview with a panel of CART leadership and recovery coaches, maybe in person in our offices or online.
Phil, if you want to take a look, there's a question down below.
It says what? I have to put on my glasses?
No, I'll read it.
All right.
He said that it came across as mildly anti-science. Science is bad, art is good. You actually argued that the current system of assessment doesn't adequately demonstrate the ability to apply the knowledge.
Wow, now that's a great question. And I do apologize if I came across that we don't value the science. We do value the science, but we also value the art. So I apologize for that. Um, the science, we wouldn't do training if or education if we didn't believe in it. So yeah, it's not an either or, and I'm sorry if it came across that way. It's a both and. So we believe the most effective recovery coaches understand the science, grasp the science, but also have an innate art and have developed their art to become effective recovery coaches.
The next question that's up there, which we might want to look at, is this a designation of replacement for a recovery coach, or is it above and beyond a recovery coach designation?
I'm not following the question.
Okay,
So
so
is the designation a replacement for recovery coach?
I don't think it's a replacement. I think people are calling themselves recovery coaches now. I think it's a matter of we are bestowing the designation onto people who meet certain competencies and training requirements and pass the interview process.
So
Does that help?
you'd have to ask Marjorie. So
Okay.
it helps me. I got it, but it helps Marjorie, I hope, too. That we're not looking to replace anything. We're just saying this is one designation our organization will offer, and people can strive for it if they like. Cool?
Cool. At
All
least
right.
for now.
At least for now. So what's the cost? The initial application fee is $149. This provides a successful candidate with a designation for 2 years, or roughly $75 a year. And as you can see on the bottom bullet, that you can renew your designation on a yearly basis for a $49 fee. So we're trying to keep the cost, make it not prohibitive, but we do have considerable cost to actually offer this designation, a lot of time and investment. During the first 2 years, people with the RCP designation are expected to continue their professional development. Renewal requirements are to complete an additional 10 hours of CCAR and/or approved CART recovery coach training programs. So it's initially 60 hours and then ongoing 10 hours per year. Um, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So when will this be available? The Recovery Coach Professional applications will be available on the CART website beginning November 15th, 2016. Uh, the CART website is also addictionrecoverytraining.org, all one word, addictionrecoverytraining.org. Applications may be submitted starting November 15th. Initial applications will be reviewed in December, and then we will begin the designation interviews for those that qualify in January of 2017, and the first designees will be awarded in January of 2017. And I think
There's
that's
a couple
it.
of questions. Yeah.
I think I might have to put on my
Put on
glasses
your
for
glasses. Yes, please.
All right.
So, well, there were a couple of questions a few screens back. And so what I just want to clarify is that currently CCAR and CART provides everybody who completes the Recovery Coach Academy with a certificate. That is a certificate of completion. Regardless of, what people call themselves in the field, that doesn't replace somebody being certified with a State Department or a governing agency, things such as that. This designation doesn't replace that, but it gives us a way to recognize those that want to be seen in the field as professionals. So people who've gone through the RCA, who've gone through the ethics training, and additional trainings in order to be seen as an elevated professional recovery coach. So it's not that we're replacing anything. This is just for those who want to be, seen as what we are calling it as a recovery coach professional, which is a little bit higher than somebody who just goes through the RCA and completes the 30 hours of training.
So were you answering Marjorie's question more?
Well, there were a few questions back. I didn't get to Kate's yet, so yeah. Because some people have said that they've already taken the RCA through other agencies and
Uh-huh.
whatnot. And we're not saying that this replaces that. They can actually use that training towards the designation if they so choose.
All right, so we got Kate's got a question. She's been a life coach for 15 years with certifications through International Coach Federation. Are you planning on any connection to ICF for recovery coaches? We are always open to collaboration, but at this current position in time, we have no connection with that agency. Is that true, Stacey?
That is true.
All right. And am I not considered a professional now? From Manuel Jackson. I wouldn't know how to answer that question, Manuel. All we're saying, I don't know you enough, or don't know what that means, or how you're framing that question. So what this means for me is that the recovery coach professional designation is just what within our organization. If How would you answer that?
I mean,
Because
honestly,
there are
right
many
now,
professionals out there in the field doing recovery coaching.
right, there are many professionals in the field doing recovery coaching, but I think what happens is the field sees recovery coaches as peers.
Right.
And so what we're trying to say is that we're not just peers. We are professional. We deserve to be seen as an equal part of, somebody's recovery journey, as any of the other pieces that help somebody in the recovery journey. And so if having this designation helps somebody be seen on the same level, then why not go for it? But if you are currently employed with an agency that could care less about whether you're certified or have gone through training or have a designation, then I don't think that you would need to take on this. But I think that there's a number of people in the field that want to be seen, or at least want the recovery coach position to be seen as a little bit more elevated than what it's currently being looked at.
Mm-hmm. That's a great response. And I agree with that. So we have a lot of questions. I'm a CARC and a certified addiction recovery. Oh, it just disappeared. We got a lot of questions.
Let me go up. Here, let me make this a little bit bigger if I can.
I can go up too.
Can you? Okay.
Where were we?
Okay, so Lila, I'm a CARC and a CRPA.
Yeah.
How does this designation help me in my career in New York City? So the only thing that I can say is that CCAR is seen and CART is seen as having a national reputation for producing highly qualified recovery coaches. People rely on our training program to, train their own recovery coaches within agencies and things such as that. So if having a designation from CART would be, one of those things that would be a benefit to have on a resume, then absolutely I would say go for it. Again, if you're already employed and you wouldn't need something like that, then maybe this isn't for you at the time. I think what we're feeling is that this would give those people who are looking for something, who haven't been able to find it because they've been seen as just peers or volunteers, the ability to go out there and be seen in a different light.
Good. Do you know of any New York City-based recovery coach agencies? I'm not a.
I don't. I know that I'm for New York has a listing of people that offer the Recovery Coach Academy, and I know a lot of those places offer recovery coaching services as well. So I might start with their website, which is, I believe, for-ny.org. I would start there because they seem to have a pretty good handle on recovery coaching in the state of New York.
Friends of Recovery New York. A very basic question. I think I can handle basic questions. Stacey can handle the more difficult ones better than I am. I can. The first thing one should do is get the RCA certification, then the RCP. And when one has the RCA, one can become employed in this area, ? So the RCA is a 30-hour, 5-day training. It's called the Recovery Coach Academy. CCAR developed that in 2008. It has undergone many versions and is constantly being tweaked and improved. We think it's one of the premier, if not the premier, recovery coach training in the country. And we've trained more than 10,000 coaches through that curriculum throughout the United States. What started as a very small idea to improve the skill set of our volunteers has kind of mushroomed into this emerging recovery coach phenomenon that's starting to sweep the country. Can you get employed if you get the Recovery Coach Academy? If you go through it, yeah, you can get employed. I think it carries some weight with a lot of agencies. We're just hoping that the Recovery Coach professional designation will carry even more weight. So it's hard to say if you can get employed or not. That depends on the situation, who you're interviewing with, and what it's for. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's fine. And I think it's good to remind people that currently, as you stated, when people get the certificate for completing the RCA, it is just that, a certificate of completion. It's not a certification. It doesn't hold any weight with state certification agencies. So I just want to make sure people understand that difference.
Right. It does count as 30 hours of training.
And that's it.
Right. 30 hours of training.
Right.
So we have another question. What differentiates one from the other as far as skill set? So in a lot of when you go and just take the test and you do the training and you get the supervision, oftentimes the person's ability to do what we say are three things aren't really measured. How well does a person actively listen? How well does a person ask really good questions? How well does a person discover and manage their own stuff? And treat the person they're talking with as a resource. These are all basics in our Recovery Coach Academy. We feel the interview questions do that and do that very well in the trials that we put them through.
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry. I gotta turn it off. It's Stephanie. Hi, guys.
Oh, okay. And so that's why we really like this process, is that interview process brings out that skill. So I think that's what differentiates one from the other, is all is just written test, a voucher from a supervisor, which hopefully holds some weight, and the supervisor has been doing some good skill development. But in our process, we're able to actually see and talk with the person and do some assessment of their skill. So what other questions we have, Stacy?
Okay, so
until there is something accepted by all, everyone will have a certificate given to them.
Well, we give everybody a certificate for completing the RCA.
Right.
If they go through the training and they do the evaluation, then they get a certificate. It's a certificate of completion, which shouldn't be confused with being certified by CCAR. We don't certify anybody. We're not a state agency. We're not able to do that. The only thing that we can vouch for is that if you've done the training and you've done the evaluation, we can say that, yes, here's your certificate, you've completed it.
All right. So we know there's a lot of questions out there, and we are just rolling this out. Again, let me just summarize, is that we have developed a lot of training, starting with the CCAR Recovery Coach Academy. We have ethical considerations, spirituality, and we have several more that are just about ready to be launched. And in our assessment of things in Connecticut, we really wanted to establish a new designation that not only measures the science, but measures the art of actually coaching recovery. And so that's what this designation is about. We're also about ready to deploy, probably in January of next year, recovery coaches into emergency departments. And we want them all to be able to proudly carry and wear this RCP, Recovery Coach Professional designation in these settings. We think it will carry a lot of weight and promote this idea of people peer to peer, one person talking to another and instilling hope and showing people, walking alongside people and showing them recovery supports and resources. The idea is that the bottom line is that we believe it'll help save lives and help change people's attitudes about recovery and remove barriers and open doors to recovery. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you all for attending. This webinar will be available online.
Yes, I'm going to post a copy of the PowerPoint as well as the recording of this. I know some people have asked for it. It'll be on our ccar.us website. There's a tab that's called Live with Phil that has a catalog of all the past monthly webinars that we've done. So you'd be able to download it and take a look. And then if you have any other questions, you can always email Phil or myself here at CCAR.
Do you want to wait for more responses, or just are we closing?
No, the application for the Recovery Coach Professional would be would need to include the RCA and the ethics training. But we do have more and more states that are offering ethics. We have ethics available. I know a bunch of other states are offering our ethical training as well. So we can definitely, make sure that, people have ample opportunities to be able to get the training programs. As far as pay, we don't really have anything to do with payment. The pay scale of recovery coaches varies throughout the country. Some people are self-pay, some people are paid by insurance. So it really just depends on where you are, what the market is. It would really be dependent on, if this helps to, again, like I said, elevate you in the eyes of the field, then it could possibly mean something more for you. But as far as what people are, paying for recovery coaches, it varies throughout the country.
Sharon asked if can Pathways to Recovery count. And I'm sure, Sharon, you're talking about, I think, the conference.
Yes, that we would accept that. Mm-hmm. Towards those additional 18 hours, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Manuel, the only thing that I can say to you is it really depends on where you're located, as well as, as you heard Phil talk about getting coaches into emergency rooms and things such as that. At this point, there are a lot of different avenues and areas that are going to be starting to implement recovery coaching. So I think at this point, it really just depends on your location. And, unfortunately, we're here in Connecticut, and we don't really have much to do with what happens outside of, our state. But what we're hoping is that because we do have that nationally recognized curriculum and we have this good reputation for putting out good recovery coaching and good recovery coaches, that people will see this as an elevation. So hopefully it would do nothing but help you.
Phyllis is still confused. So Phyllis, you have a recovery training certificate. So is that from the CCAR Recovery Coach Academy that Meaningful Trainings did? Or from Resource Trainings?
Yeah, I think she must have the original CCAR RCA.
So that counts 30 hours towards the 60 hours of training you need to have in your application to become a recovery coach professional through CART. You need a total of 60. So If that's from a Recovery Coach Academy training, you have 30, plus anything else you've done.
Right. So we're just about at 12:30, so I'm going to wrap this up. Again, if you have any other questions. Manuel, this is still very new, so we're not sure exactly what it's going to look like and how people are going to recognize it. Like I said, I think because CCAR has the reputation of putting out really good recovery coaches and good recovery coaching curriculum, that people will automatically start seeing this and realizing that this person has been CCAR trained and can meet a certain level of competencies for recovery coaching. So again, thanks everybody. I hope that helps, and we'll see you next month.